Okay, this is a lesson case study done by Kimbi, Alanna, and Jonie. And our outcome for this lesson plan was SP 9.2, which was demonstrate an understanding of the collection, display, and analysis of data through a project. Okay, so basically within this outcome, students need to devise a project plan related to a situation relevant to self, family, or community. And then they have to create a rubric and complete the project and draw conclusions from what they found. So within the learning plan, we had a set where the teacher would distribute a Smartie and pull the colors of Smarties and demonstrate how the students could collect this data and then represent it. And then we would go and give the students a project sheet, which you guys will see later on, and they would basically create a rubric, sample a population, represent it, and they would have to present this information to the class. And within the closure, we would have students present their findings and again answer their questions.
Okay, for this set we didn't make a whole lot of changes, but other than just giving the students their Smartie and then demonstrating to them how they could collect it and display it, we thought that we'd give them the Smartie first and then ask them how they would display it in that way so that they could have a sense of how they'd do it before we told them. We made it possible for them to use technology if it would be easier for them to use graphs and stuff in that way. And then we thought we'd go into explaining the project, and then we just thought that if there was confusion and stuff, we'd address it as it was needed.
And then for the development of our project, we kept basically the basis of it, changed a few things. We said that we would explain the details of the project to the students and have them partner up. That was initially, and we changed that to we would partner them up ourselves, just so that we know, because we know what the kind of the students are, so we could put a mathematical and English person together, or just so that you have a variety of knowledge base in the partner set, as well as if this was our first time doing it, since we are going to be first-time teachers, we really won't have samples from when we've previously done this. So what we would do is either create previous projects, so we could create a project, or we could go to other teachers within the school and see if they have a project similar, just so that the students have an idea and that kind of stuff, just so that the students can know exactly what to expect. As well, if the students are having troubles, getting a topic, we would have newspaper clippings or other media resources, so the students, maybe something that they read or saw in these articles will click with them, then they'll have an idea. And basically the middle of our development is the exact same, but then at the end, what we changed was the amount of time. Previously, it was a little less time, and we just added a couple more days, I guess, a couple more hours, just so that the students had more time to further develop their thinking and understanding.
Within the closure, we first had students presenting their findings in a random order, but when we thought about it, we actually wouldn't be doing this that same day of the lesson, and instead that would be done once the students have all finished their presentation or all finished their project. So we revised it for that day at the end of the lesson, so we would have the students get into their groups that were made and start discussing their projects, and then they would fill out an exit slip, and within that exit slip they would write any ideas as well as answer a question where they would describe a situation when a sample represents a population.
And with the prior knowledge we had that the students would have before this lesson, they all kind of remain the same. They would understand sampling, errors in data, representing data, and that kind of stuff. But we just thought of something that they would also know is how to work in groups, or we hope that they have probably a little higher knowledge of doing that as well.
And then for the once the project is finalized and the students have completed it, we just added questions for deeper understanding, because we know that the students know how to do the things such as collect data, that kind of stuff. So now we need to check for their understanding to make sure that they understood the concept that we were teaching.
Okay, so those were just a couple of changes that we made to the lesson plan. Another way we have changed this lesson plan is to incorporate treaty education. And to do that, it would just be a matter of having the students sample something based on treaty education, such as what the circle of courage means to other people within the society, and representing that data that they have found. And now Kimbi would like to do a quick recording.
I remember that day when I found that equation. It was rise over run, that was the slope. Yeah, it was the letter M. And then I found the y-intercept. The letter was B. Y equals mx plus b is everything.